A truly sad night for boxing, and it was a bloody disgrace. Watch this video. Hello, welcome to I'm Son. I hope you're all well. So this is a very quick video because what we witnessed early this morning in the UK from the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul in Texas was an absolute farce. It was a disgrace. Now, the lead up to this fight, I was saying all these things, saying how bad this fight was, and it was a foregone conclusion that Jake Paul was going to win because, look, people are saying, and shame on those people and pundits and ex-pros are saying, oh, Mike Tyson's got a chance here, he could do it. No, he never had a chance. He never had a chance. But there's a couple of issues here that I want to raise. First of all, Mike Tyson getting into the ring, on his ring walk, just leaving the backstage area, he almost tripped over. So he tripped over some cabling, and he looked vacant. He just looked as if he didn't want to be there, or he wasn't sure what he wanted to be. He looked dazed and confused more than anything. Got into the ring, and he just wasn't there. It was just all over the place. This was supposed to be a pro fight. This is supposed to be, it's not an exhibition, but it turned out to be exactly that, an exhibition. It turned out to be a scripted meeting of two people trying to do a bit of boxing. Mike Tyson in there, I was saying before the fight, when I sort of looked at his open workout footage and also some of the prior footage, and I said, look, he looks terrible. He looks terrible. He actually looked really, really bad in this fight here with Jake Paul. He looked like a really old man. And I was saying from the open workout footage before the fight, I said, look at his movement. Look at the way he's moving. It's just not right. You know, he looks like an old man trying to act like a young man. And if you've ever looked at old people when they're moving, right, younger people have fluidity in their movement. It's one movement. You know, people are dancing, people are walking, right? It's just fluid. Whereas an old person, they tend to jitter like this, or jutter, or whatever the term is. But they're juddering, as it were. That's exactly what Mike Tyson was doing. He was juddering just to move his body. His body just wasn't up to the task. Guess what? He's a 58-year-old. You know, why is this going to be such a surprise? Now, so it was billed as a pro fight. So you would think that maybe those people who are saying that Mike Tyson had a chance would think, right, well, maybe Mike Tyson, just in the first round for 2 minutes, he might be able just to really lay it on Jake Paul, just to give him something to think about. But he didn't really do that. Why? Because he couldn't move. Why? Because he was so slow. And Jake Paul was just keeping him at distance for most of the time. So Jake Paul was fighting the right kind of fight, but Mike offered nothing at all. So was it scripted for him not to really offer anything, or was it that he just couldn't do it? I think it's a bit of a mixture of both, actually, to be quite honest with you. The second thing is that Jake Paul, he kind of got on top. In the third round especially, he hurt Mike. He put him on the back foot, and he was hurt. I thought he was hurt, but he didn't capitalize on it. So come around in the fourth round, this is where I have my big issue here. Jake Paul, before the fight, said, oh, this is going to be a knockout. This is what it's billed as, a pro fight, and there's going to be knockouts here, right? And he said, I'm going to knock him out in the fourth round. This is what he says, I'm going to knock him out in the fourth round. So I was expecting him to come out in round 4 and at least lay it on Mike Tyson a lot more than he did. He never did. The fight just kind of fizzled away. And I don't even want to call it a fight. It was just a nonsense spectacle. It was boring. It was terrible to watch. So what happened then? The fight just fizzled out. Yeah, Jake Paul won it, if you want to call it a win like that. Mike Tyson looked absolutely terrible. It was just a sad affair to see a really old guy in the ring, an icon of the sport, a fantastic fighter in his day, up against this Jake Paul. So after the fight, Ariel Helwani in the ring said, were you trying to knock him out? And he was kind of really coy, Jake Paul, about whether he was really trying to knock him out. After the press conference, he kind of intimated that he was carrying him for the fight as well. So What is this then? Are we saying that this was never really a pro fight? Only a pro fight that could be sanctioned in Texas? Was there some kind of deal with the Texas Commission there, Athletic Commission, to say, no, we're going to call it a pro fight, but is it really a pro fight? It's going to be scripted. We've got to protect Uncle Mike. They're calling him Uncle Mike, right? I just want to make something perfectly clear. I'm not saying for one moment that I would have been happy if Mike Tyson got flatlined in there. Not that at all, because I never wanted to see him in the ring anyway. That's the thing. I never wanted him to be put in that position anyway. But he's a grown man. He can make up his own decision about whether he wants to go in there and entertain this kind of fight, this kind of contest, if you want to call it that. But it was never a contest. So it was billed as a pro fight. It never was a pro fight. It should have been an exhibition. If you're going to fight it as an exhibition, then fight it as an exhibition. If you're going to openly admit that you say you've carried him, or are you just masking, actually, you're a terrible boxer and you couldn't get Mike out of there either. Whichever way you look at it, whichever angle you're coming from, that was a terrible night for boxing fans, for casual fans, for sports fans. Anybody who just wanted to see Mike Tyson in the ring again. Anybody who thought that Jake Paul had any kind of credibility, it's just a farce. I mean, the point is, people are all coming out now saying, "Oh, what's going to happen now? What's going to happen to Mike Tyson?" Because he was saying, "Well, maybe I'll fight again. Maybe I'll fight Logan Paul." Nobody should ever allow Mike Tyson to get into a ring again. Now, could it be an exhibition fight? He's too old even for that. Could Jake Paul go on and do another big mega fight? Well, only if he's allowed to. This is the thing now. He's got an audience. He's got an audience, a grown audience all around the world. Netflix were all having problems with their stream as well. But with the numbers that they've done, because it's Mike Tyson, they had massive numbers. But if he goes in with somebody else that isn't such an iconic name, that crosses lots of boundaries in terms of sport, in terms of brand, in terms of just an iconic person from the ages, then it's not going to sell as well, or certainly people aren't going to view it as well. It's a diminishing law of returns. You're just going to, or diminishing rate of returns, I should say. It's just going to keep on getting less and less. In his last fight, Jake Paul fought Mike Perry as a stand-in for the cancelled or the postponed Mike Tyson fight. And it did terrible numbers. I can't remember what the pay-per-view buys were. I think it was less than 70,000 or 50,000, which is terrible, right? But they're not really going to boast about that. What they're really saying is that, and they told us this afterwards, Logan Paul and Jake Paul, the pay-per-view model isn't really working for them. They think that this free thing from Netflix is the way to go. They get paid 40 or 50 million. They bring loads of viewers to the platform. There we go. Everyone's a winner. Everybody's earning millions, but it's just so disrespectful to the sport, so disrespectful to Mike Tyson. It was just a terrible watch. It's a terrible thing to see, and I never want to see it again. And the only way you combat this is that you never, ever watch anything that Jake Paul does again. The only time that he can ever redeem himself is actually get back or get onto, in the first place, a proper boxing pathway. If he wants to be this professional boxer, then he's got to fight professional boxers at his own age group, in his own weight division, not some over-the-hill MMA fighter, not some really aging boxer that was once great, and now you're just going to embarrass him. Now, if it was a proper fight, you're going to get in there, you've hurt your opponent. So you should be trying to get him out of there. That's the whole point. You're supposed to be trying to get him out of there. Now, some of you might say, well, hold on a minute. That's, he showed a lot of class there by just going off the gas and not taking Mike Tyson out there. But this is the point. The point is, if you're going to take your foot off the gas and just to coast all the way in, then you're not even doing a very good job at that. It was just a really poor display. So if you're going to do that and then you openly admit that you've carried him, then you've basically just done an exhibition fight. That's all you've done. Now, whether both parties were involved in this scripted fight, we don't know. But essentially, you've just admitted to it. So therefore, if you just admitted to it, you've sold everybody a lie. You were telling everybody, nobody believed you, in all fairness, but you told everybody this is a professional fight. It's going to go on your professional record. But it wasn't a professional fight. Mike Tyson looked vacant. He looked really old. That jittering sort of movement. He just couldn't close the distance. He couldn't just move. Yeah, he was bobbing and weaving a bit of peekaboo here and there, but that was about it. A couple of shots went in, but most of it was just from Jake Paul, and even that was just really, really poor. Jake Paul is not a good boxer. We can all say it. We can all see it. He's not, but in his mind, he's the world's best. Now he's beating Mike Tyson. Oh, he thinks he's fantastic. The problem is that if you give this oxygen, it's just gonna breathe. It's just gonna catch fire, and it is catching fire because more and more people are willing to give this the time of day, and it doesn't deserve the time of day. I said before the fight, it was a farce, it was a nonsense, it was a sham. Jake Paul and his brother, a couple of tosses actually. Mike Tyson should never have been in that ring, and I'll say it again. And I keep on saying it again. The Boxing Commission or whomever gave him his pro license to get into the ring in Texas, they need to be locked up. Mike Tyson should not be in the ring ever again. And that's for his own health, but it's also so that we're not seeing just an old man just struggle in there and not have a clue, not be able to do anything. Because this is what we were all saying beforehand. Apart from those who thought that he really had a chance. Whichever way you look at it, whether it was scripted, whether Mike Tyson should have did a little bit more, or he was never going to do anything, or Jake Paul should have had him out of there, or he should have, on the fourth round, he definitely should have capitalized on the success that he had in the third round and knocked Mike Tyson out, or certainly made contact with a lot more punches because he was missing a lot as well. I mean, look, okay, fine. If you're saying that you're still trying to hit Mike Tyson, but you can't connect to a 58-year-old who can't even move, then what does that say about the quality of your boxing? It was just poor, really poor. Listen, I rambled on for so long. I really don't want to keep on talking about it. It's just a terrible look for boxing. It's a terrible look for Mike Tyson, but in some ways it's not that bad. But it's a terrible look for Jake Paul. Either way, it was always going to be a terrible look. But because he's saying that, I didn't really go for the knockout and I sort of carried him afterwards, it just doesn't look good. I mean, there were rumours before the fight that it was scripted, more rumours afterwards that it was scripted as well. But let's face it, you could all predict that was going to be the kind of script anyway. That was going to be how the fight was going to go. And I was saying beforehand, look, I think it's going to go the distance. I thought it was going to be a snooze fest and Jake Paul would easily win. Well, yeah, this is exactly what it was. It was just a terrible, terrible watch. Netflix didn't do themselves any favours with their stream faltering all over the world as well. That's just the sheer numbers of people. I think, they're saying like 100 million people around the world were trying to access that stream. I mean, you're going to have issues, right? But it just wasn't good. The redeeming light of the whole night was the Barrios fight and the Serrano-Taylor fight beforehand. Those two fights beforehand were absolutely fantastic. The Casey Taylor and Amanda Serrano, fantastic fight. That's what boxing is. That's what boxing is. That's what a contest is. This wasn't a contest. And on the basis that it isn't a contest, therefore it should not be a pro fight. If it's not a contest, we don't need to see it. If it's just going to be an exhibition fight, fine, but an exhibition fight doesn't sell. So there's your answer, kids. That's the whole issue here is it's not going to sell if it's just an exhibition fight. And he's going to keep on trying to pull the wool over your eyes, or those of you who believe in this nonsense, that he's trying to do or have a pro boxing career and have pro fights. It's absolute nonsense as well. And let alone all the other boxers that he's calling out or trying to associate with, for a future fights as well. For me, just don't watch it. Just don't give it any option. Just don't give it any time at all. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. But it was a very sad night for boxing. Very sad night for the boxing industry, the whole thing. I know lots of people who think like me. I know lots of people who did want to see this fight, who were just not happy with it. And certainly many, many more, multitudes of people now are saying how wrong it was and how bad it looked and everything like that. But it was just a very sad night for boxing. It was just a disgrace. It was just a disgrace from start to finish. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, just keep on watching the videos and I'll catch you again. Bye now.